So let's continue our comparison. The only two now that we're going to look at is, let's go between the Irwin Fitness Roller J-cup and we'll compare it to the new Rogue Roller J-cup. So I'm just going to take these apart, do some measurements for you, give you an idea of dimensionally what the differences are. So Irwin's here is just over 3 inches wide on this back plate versus Rogue's is going to be skinnier, and it comes in at 2 3/4 inches wide. So this is skinnier here, this portion. Now let's see how tall this is, and we're looking at about, I'm just going to go from the top to the very bottom of that, 9.5 inches from here to here, and that's measuring right to the bottom of the UNHW, 9.5. Now we'll go to Irwin's, and Irwin's is 9 inches. So now I'm just kind of curious myself what the backstop is from the top of the roller to the actual top of this is 6 3/4 on Irwin's, and let's see what it is on Ghost's. It's closer to, it's just shy of 8 inches. So this portion here is actually taller on the Ghost plate versus the Irwin. So the Irwin's is a little bit wider, but it's a little bit shorter. It's quite a bit thicker right there. Let's look at total weight. I'm curious on how much these are going to weigh. So we'll pull the scale out here and let's weigh them and see what they weigh. Looking at about 11.5 pounds on the Irwin. Okay, so there is the weight of the Ghost, and I can barely read that. I'm going to call that 8 3/4, 8.75, somewhere just shy of 9. So Irwin's are definitely heavier. There's no doubt there. So you're getting more material with the Irwin J-cups. Does that mean it's better? Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of construction and strength, more material is always going to make it a little bit stronger. But are you going to notice that difference? Maybe not. It's pretty close. What did we say? 11.5 versus just about 9 pounds. So pretty close when you compare that to, say, the Titan Roller J-cups, I think, come in around 4 pounds. So they're quite a bit lighter. I'm going to take this apart and let's have a look and see at the roller designs, and we'll look at the bolt on the roller design of the Irwin versus the Rogue. And before we do that, I'm just going to show you the spin on this. So there's the spin on that versus spin on this one. I would say it's a little bit less, but I'll put some oil on this one and let's see if we can make it better. Okay, so my mic stopped working here, so I'll just talk you through this. The bolt on the left is a shoulder bolt that came with the Irwin Fitness J-cups. The bolt on your right side of your screen is what came with the new Rogue Ghost J-cups. It's also found in the original Ghost J-cups. And what is kind of disappointing is you have to spend the $100 to upgrade to that style of shoulder bolt that basically comes with all Irwin's J-cups. From Rogue, if you want that shoulder bolt, you're going to have to spend $100 to get it. Do I think it's really worth it? Probably not, but the bolt that Rogue uses here, this one with all this thread, is not the right bolt for this application. It should be a shoulder bolt, like I'm illustrating here. So Rogue's using the wrong hardware and then forcing you to spend $100 to upgrade. Anyway, I just wanted to get this point across that the hardware that comes with Irwin's is a much superior hardware, and it's going to be a better, smoother surface than this one from Rogue that has all the threads on it. So that was it for that. Now,
Let's talk about the rollers for a second here. What I found, which was really interesting, is the height of the Irwin roller and the Rogue roller are identical. They would be interchangeable, except the diameter of the axle itself is different. So, having said that, the Irwin roller has a smaller diameter hole, so if you were to drill that out, you could use the Irwin rollers in the Ghost J-cups, no problem. I don't think you could go the other way, obviously, because Rogue's has got a larger hole, so you'd have to put a bushing in there or something, but which you could do. But just for this information for everybody out there, you could interchange the rollers from Ghost to Irwin and make it work.
All right, so we got them up on the rack here, and one thing to note is I added some oil to the Ghost roller, and it spins a lot better now. So not that that makes a huge difference or something that you're really worried about. It's only moving like 4 or 5 inches really slowly, so it doesn't matter. I don't know. But I added some oil to it, and it did improve how well it spins. Let's talk about some issues or gripes that I might have with these. We'll start with Irwin Fitness. I've had those the longest, and I've been using those for, 10 months or more now, almost a year. And I beat them up really good, and they have taken the abuse well. I really like those Roller J-cups. They have proven themselves over and over and over again. They're super solid, super heavy duty, and I really like them. One issue I have had, and it might just be my set. This might not be something that you're going to find on all of them because they are all made to slightly different tolerances. But I'll show you in the B-roll in where my sleeve comes in to the actual Roller J-cup. It just barely grazes the edge of the J-cup and has just kind of scraped off some of the plasti dip that is on these. So it hasn't really messed up my paint, but it has worn away the plasti dip, and you can see it in some of the pictures, and I'll show you in the B-roll. And it's funny because it's more on one side than, say, the other side seems to be better. So that's just one little minor gripe. Could just be my set again. Garth, obviously, he knows about this issue, and I'm sure he's done something to change that design or just slightly change the tolerances in that corner. It's not much that needs to be for clearance there, just a tiny bit, 1/8 of an inch maybe. So that's my only gripe on the Irwin Fitness J-cups. Now, the Ghost ones, I just got these in. I haven't used them a ton yet. I'm going to do a long-term review later on these, but I can tell already that they tend to move around on the rack a lot more than the Irwins do, and I'll show you in the B-roll what I'm talking about. It's not very much, but it's noticeable. They seem to want to rock back and forth quite a bit more than, say, Irwins. So minor issue. I don't think it's something that's a deal breaker for me or anybody, but just worth noting. One other thing that I've noticed on the Ghost J-cups, and this includes the original design, and just about everybody's J-cups I've seen on Instagram, they post pictures, they all have the same issue. Is it an issue? Probably not. It's just an aesthetics thing. But what I'm talking about is the gap. Up at the top here, you'll notice if you start looking at these on people's pictures on Instagram or mine or whatever, I'll show you the B-roll, some have a very large gap at the top, and it's just the way they are designed. So if you see mine and you see the comparison to the Irwins, there's a noticeable gap at the top. Yeah, it adds to the play and how they fit on the rack. It might be a little bit less, say, on a Rogue rack, which is 1 millimeter thicker than a Rep rack, but I don't think 1 millimeter is going to make that big of a difference. We're talking about almost 1/4 of an inch at least gap at the top. Does it affect the function of it? I don't think it affects it too much overall. So, all right, so what's my thoughts on the new Rogue Ghost Roller J-cups versus the Irwin Fitness Roller J-cups? I have covered a few of the things that I found were issues. Now, having said that, the Rogue were designed, or the Ghost ones, I guess, were designed for a true 3x3 rack. So some of that play that I'm having, or some of that, those two minor issues, could be the Rep Fitness rack being 1 millimeter thinner than a true 3x3 rack. I suspect those issues will be similar on a Rogue rack as well. However, it's worth noting that. So if you have a Rogue rack, it might be less evident to have those issues. One of the really interesting features about the Irwin Fitness one, and the secret feature that not many people know about, is to prevent that play from it moving around. These Ghost ones really want to move on you, and that's part of it is because the pin is located towards the middle of the J-cup, where Irwin Fitness locates their upper pin up at the top. So it's got a little bit more weight at the bottom as opposed to this. Also, the Irwins are also heavier. But now the secret feature is Irwin designed a rear pin option to prevent this from moving like that. So you can take any of your quick pull pins, 1-inch pins, and have it go through the back, and it'll go into the roller J-cup, and that'll lock it in place. Really awesome feature. One problem is on a rep rack, we don't have true 1-inch or 2-inch spacing, so it will not work on a rep rack. I tried it, and in the B-roll I'm going to show you what I found, but the hole was just slightly off, and that is one issue that you might have using products on a rep rack that were designed for a true 3x3 domestic North American rack, which is in inches. So really cool feature. I think it's awesome that Irwin incorporated that into their design. When it comes to styling or the aesthetics or the looks of these, I really honestly think the Ghosts look better. And the reason I say that is they have that really nice decal on the side, and I think it just makes for a really clean finish. The emblem looks great in there, and with the new redesigned front protection, I think it really ties it all together really nice. Rogue wants you to pay $100 more to get an upgraded axle bolt, and with that $100 more, you get an option of paint colors, and you also get the stainless steel machined pin, the upper pin. So I know the next question that you're probably thinking is, can you upgrade the axle bolt yourself? And I looked on McMaster Car, and you can buy the bolt. It's available, but there's going to be a problem. First thing is it's $18 per bolt. So say 20, you're at $40 plus say some shipping on that. Even if it's 10, 15 bucks shipping, you're $50, $60 right there alone, just upgrading your axle bolts. And the big problem is you cannot upgrade the axle bolts regardless. And the reason for that is this axle bolt here is actually a beveled bolt. And what that means is the actual frame and the steel that's made in these Ghost roller J-cups has a bevel built into it. The upgraded version that's found in the Irwin Fitness roller J-cup, that bolt, that axle bolt, is smooth all the way across and is designed for that type of load. The problem is the head of that bolt is not beveled. So, and you're probably following me along here, I hope I've got some pictures on the B-roll to explain what I'm talking about. But it's a completely, entirely different J-cup. So the ones I have are not compatible with the upgraded version in terms of that beveled spot there. So you cannot upgrade these. Is it a big deal? Personally, I don't think it's a big deal. It's disappointing that Rogue wouldn't put in the proper hardware to begin with and makes you have to buy an upgraded version. Doesn't make sense. However, having said that, Ghost originally came with that lower tiered hardware. So, and there's been no issues with that. Again, you're not rolling this very far. It's moving 2 or 3 inches at a very low speed. Does it really matter that much? I would highly doubt that it does. But it is still kind of interesting that you have to pay the $100 to get the upgraded bolt, and you cannot upgrade it yourself because they're completely different designs. So it's worth noting that. I know this is really technical stuff, but I know for people that follow me, this is what I try to deliver you, is the most technical reviews I can. Talking about probably the 2 best roller J-cups you can buy. You're not going to go wrong with either one of these. I personally, I don't see the reason to upgrade the $100 more to get that other bolt and get custom colors. The stainless pin to me is irrelevant. You don't see it. It's the same strength. It doesn't make any difference. It would be nice to have a custom color. However, $100 is quite a bit to pay for that. And that's up to you. I mean, that's really going to be, you know, your choice. I have been trashing on these Irwin Fitness ones for almost a year and have absolutely loved them. I like the fact that they're overbuilt, they're really heavy duty, the roller is really smooth, even with weight on it. They don't move around in the rack. If you have a Rogue rack, you can pin the back of them and lock them in place. I really like that secret option. So for me, I'm going to give the hedge to the Irwin Fitness ones. Those are going to be my recommendation based on my experience. The Ghost ones, again, I just got them a couple weeks ago. I've just been playing with them. I don't have the same amount of experience, but you can't go wrong there. You buy either one of these, you're going to be very happy. I don't see there being any issues. I've really try to find problems with equipment so that you can make a good decision when you buy yours. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with either one of these. Rogue did an outstanding job by upgrading the front protection. I think they did a great job with that. Rogue improved the UMHW. It's smoother, it's nicer. You know, they did a great job with these. So, and the finishes were perfect on mine. I had no issues with mine at all. So that being said, go with which one you maybe like the looks of better or which one might work for you, but you can't go wrong with either one. I appreciate everybody watching the video and sticking with me. And yeah, so if you have any questions or you've got anything you want to know about these, let me know. Put them in the comments below. I got some trivia for you guys. Post in the comments below if you remember the original color of my Irwin Roller J-cups. These are painted red with Plasti Dip, but see who can remember what color they used to be. Post it in the comments. All right, have a good one. Thanks. See ya.